What's going on, everyone? It's your boy James, Grendel's Garage, and well, we are going to go ahead and start getting some numbers and write them down. Basically, I'm just freshening up off the setup and want to take just a quick moment before we actually sit down, do everything to show you how clean everything is or not clean everything is in your guys' opinion, so that way we have kind of a basis and we know where we're starting from. So I'll talk about how I got this far coming up here in a bit as far as getting the timing wheel and stuff like that. Anyways, just looking at how clean stuff is or not clean stuff is, like I said. Hopefully it's not too bright. I just put new batteries in there, but cleaned it out pretty good. Did about 3 swishes with just gasoline. I do have the luxury of using non-ethanol. That's another debate for a different day, but switched it out with that, and then about 4 swishes with some good old actual mixture. Sorry, I'm just trying to, got the wheel attached so it's not moving quite as freely as it does. And so we got some lubrication back into the crank itself, and it's moving super good. Everything looks super good down there. It's actually a lot cleaner than I thought, especially looking into the cylinder, but yeah, pretty happy with that. Moving on, so we're not taking 100,000 years to do everything at once. Looking over here at the piston, might have to move you guys into the light a little bit more. As you guys can see, I got most of the crud off. It looks pretty good. There's some light scratches on there. I just used a little tiny piece of Scotch-Brite and WD-40. Honestly, this is all just super micro scratches. It's not going to do anything. I did have a heck of a time getting the piston wrist pin in and out, so I did kind of hit that a little bit. I don't know, something's going on with this side. You're not going to be able to see, but there's just a little lip in there. So I don't know if we were about to lose one of our G-clips or anything like that. Like, I don't think that was what was going on, but something was a little goofy. There's just a little lip in there that I can't get past, and I don't really want to try to sand it down or anything like that. It's right where my thumb's at. Might be able to see it. Right back there. Anyways, but we can get it through this side just fine, especially with a little lubrication. So looking down the road, I think what we'll need to do is lube these guys up a little bit more. And to do that, I think we need to drill bigger holes, question mark. Gotta look into it a little bit more, but it makes sense in my head. Just a little bit more lubrication, bigger hole, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, as you can see, it actually cleaned up pretty good. But what was very interesting, we were definitely, like I thought, making contact with the spark plugs on both sides. So very interesting. Couldn't get that stuff out to save my life. Probably if I put more time into it. But that was pretty stuck on there, and I'm assuming we were probably getting pretty good compression. I'm just saying. So, is this a design flaw? Did I not measure out my stuff? I don't know. That's something that we'll have to look into. So, there's that. This is going to be a little bit harder to see. I think we got to get you over here where this light's holding me. I don't even think that's going to do it. I'm going to have to put you guys down. All right. Let's see if this works. Alrighty. Maybe a little bit better that way. So just kind of looking into there. I just took a little tiny bit of Scotch-Brite. Just a little tiny bit. Did not go crazy or anything like that. Just to see if some of that brown would come off. And a lot of it did. A lot of it was starting to come off. But I didn't want to screw up that lining at all. The chrome lining I think they have in here. No, it's not. I don't even know if it's chrome. I think it's chrome and aluminum, right? Or it's just aluminum. I think it's a chrome. I'm just talking about stuff I don't know at this point. Anyways, she got hot. There is some pitting you can kind of see right there, and that's just going to be the characteristics of the cylinder itself. You can kind of see right there going around. You can see a whole bunch of pit marks, and that's just casting defects. And these are not sand casted. These are like the injection mold casting, technically. I think you can tell if it has like the 3 dots going this way and this way, then I do believe it is injection. Exhaust port. So, yes, I understand that technology is supposed to be a little bit better, but, you know, sometimes you don't always get exactly the best stuff coming out of those factories. So, you can just see all the pitting all the way through. So that's gonna carry through all the way through the cylinder. little air pockets. But yeah, besides that, guys, it actually, after cleaning it, everything looked a lot better than I thought. I could sit here and talk forever. I probably would. There's plenty to talk about. I could talk about cleaning, why we're actually setting up other stuff. But we got a lot of video to go. So this will be the second video of the second porting series and all that jazz. So everything else looks pretty darn good. Pretty happy with it. All right, guys, stay tuned. All right, guys, we are back, and one of the big steps that I like to do before I go ahead and get everything buttoned up, you can see I took the wheel off. I just had that up for effect at that point, but now that I have the cylinder loomed up and the piston rings removed from the actual piston itself, we can go ahead and you can see it glides nice and easy, no wear and tear on the actual engine itself. That's going to be a big step. Highly recommend it. You don't necessarily have to if you're like really good at this and you only need to get a couple measurements a couple times. You don't necessarily have to do this, but me, I'm going to be farting around and doing this about 100,000 times. So there is that. As of right now, I have the original base gasket and then 2 new gaskets on there. What I'm trying to achieve is I'm trying to look and see how much I can drop, or excuse me, raise that cylinder and try to get as much drop down as I can with that piston so I can clear as much exhaust as possible. So we're roughly at a bottom dead center. We don't have bolts onto the cylinder, so it doesn't bolt down any further, but you can kind of see right off the bat that our piston is not going to completely clear, so we're going to lose a little bit of, how would I say, you're going to lose a little bit of flow. Think about that as that charge is coming back from the pipe. It's got to, well, I guess like that's going to be the wrong stage. I guess it's going to be more coming in there, that area. So maybe that's not. But really what's happening is you are losing a little bit of air flow on top of you are also not expelling all the exhaust that you probably possibly could or want. What we're going to end up doing, though, is taking one gasket off and dropping it down just a little bit more. And the reason why, because I mean, like, I guess theoretically you can just keep stacking gaskets right until that's completely flush, but what you're going to run into then is crosstalk with your pistons and stuff like that. So again, it's not all the way buttoned down, so it is going to go down further. You could technically think, so we're approximately bottom dead center, give or take. Again, not tying down, so it would go down a little bit, but you can see that there is light coming through. And if you could pretend that light is air and gas coming through there when this is a bottom dead center. Okay, so think about this. You're at bottom dead center, your exhaust port is completely open, and you're losing charge, obviously trying to get rid of that old charge, and this is opened up, and you're sucking in that new charge, so you're going to lose quite a bit of that new charge that's coming in. Yes, it is coming through the transfers technically, but you're going to be pulling in and losing vacuum if that is open. And I think that's the biggest reason they call that crosstalk is I think Trent told me one time, I'm like, what's crosstalk? And he said bad things. I'm like, okay, now that I understand a little bit more, it is bad things. So you're basically going to be losing a lot of vacuum, you're going to be losing a lot of new charge and all that kind of stuff. So just a little tip, you do not want that. So we're going to drop it down to 2 base gaskets, and then we can go ahead and set up everything, and that's going to be our maximum what we can get for bringing that cylinder up, trying to clear out more exhaust. Also too, if we bring up that cylinder a little bit more, what we're going to have to do is we're going to go ahead and have to sand this bad boy down because I don't have a lathe to cut it off. So that is something, the more you bring it up, the more you have to take off on the top to keep your compression. One other thing I was going to say, but I can't remember, so sand the top off. All right, guys, I can't remember. Anyways, there's so much that goes behind this. I was going to say, too, as you raise the cylinder, you are raising that exhaust up, which theoretically, can't say that word, especially on camera, will give us a little bit more on the top end. You're probably going to lose a little bit more on the bottom end, in the mid, but you are going to gain a little bit from the top, which, not that that's always our goal, but, that's kind of what we're shooting for, especially for these motors and where I live. You know, if I had the opportunity to hit more dirt roads, I would probably port a little different. Really, I'm just cruising, so it's nice to be able to cruise at a good, strong power, but always have like a little bit left. So this will work out a little bit better. So we are going to gain just a little bit of power right off the bat just by raising it with one gasket. So food for thought. Let me know. Port theory, right? Rabbit hole for hours and years and forever. All right, stay tuned. Alrighty, everyone, we are back. The little boy is starting to stir, so I'm hoping to do this in one take. So we'll see how it goes. First off, I highly recommend you guys get a notebook. You do not have to be as meticulous as this. Half of this is just BS anyways, but it does help me come back to this because I only do this like once a year, hopefully more, but as the career progresses and the little boy gets older and maybe brothers and sisters for a little boy, who knows? Anyways, a notebook really is going to help you come back to what you're working on. So we have the Zeda 100 Max. We don't even have stock numbers. I typically don't run stock numbers or anything like that. But basically, what I'm trying to say is just get like a freaking notebook, a sticky note. I don't care. Something like that. So what do we have? We have the 100 Max. And we're just going to go ahead and this is just going to be notes right off the bat. We'll just do some notes over here. I like to keep the notes close. So that way we know what's going on. Okay, so looking back at this, where are we at? I removed our part of our magneto, the part with the little prongs on there. You will need to do that. Pretty easy, just the 4 little things right there. Boom, boom, boom. Now when you take this bugger off, make sure you push onto that magnet because obviously it's a magnet. But you don't want to try to pull that magnet off because if you do, you're going to take the Woodruff key and everything else off, and that is a pain. If you do end up doing that, there's a whole bunch of YouTube videos on how to fix that. Sorry, that gasket had stuff over it. But yeah, anyways, I digress. So let's just see if I can do this. What else did I do? I did have a stud bolt that was coming loose, so I did ended up putting Loctite and getting that guy on there. Just looking back, we have 2 gaskets. Everything looks super good. I did kind of want to demonstrate the compression on here. So get that chair out of the way. This isn't like a test of like, oh, look at the compression. It's more of like you can actually hear the, what am I trying to say? You can actually hear, not the volume change, but you can actually hear it working kind of like a pump and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and just give it a, I gotta be careful. I don't have a thing on there, but let's just go ahead and give it a spin. You can really hear it sucking. So we have good transfer of air and everything like that. Man, I cannot think right now as far as what that's called. I wasn't going to do that, but anyways, there we are. So I'll scream it out in the middle of our filming and stuff like that. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at what we got to do. Got to think. Okay, I did torque the head down all the way down to 12 foot-pounds. Sometimes I do 12.5 or something like that, but I'm just gonna do 12. That's just more of like a, I don't know, preference thing probably. Let's just go ahead and push the piston down for now. I'm gonna give it a hard push and just give it a couple wiggles. Okay, that's gonna put it at roughly bottom dead center. Next, what else? I did take my washers and sanded down the parts that need sanding down because I want this as flush as possible. Even this wheel is not 100% true in all honesty. It's pretty good actually, better than I thought. But you do want this to be pretty flush on there as much as possible without any canter or anything like that. I can remember canter, but I can't remember the freaking other word. Make sure you have your pointer nice and long, okay, nice and long. I did put a little bit of Sharpie right there so we can see a little bit better. Just getting old, just need to see. And you need to, I torque that sucker on there. I just do like a little loop with a washer, boom, right on there. There is a washer that comes in the back. And then I can't remember if there's a washer on here or not. Honestly, I cannot remember. Regardless, so I put the washer on there, just a little bit of space from the magneto because this itself might not be exactly flush. You can see these little pins either might stick out or might not. Anyways, I'm being super meticulous, I know. I'm going to put that sucker on there. The side I sanded down. Now you don't have a whole lot of material to work here, but we're also not like cranking it down to the moon or anything like that. I do want it tight on there, but again, I don't need to crank it to the moon. So I am gonna get it fairly snug, just hand tight for now. And now I'm gonna manipulate this guy. Now I'm gonna get my measurement, which is not gonna be the same as what you guys are gonna see. Okay. All right. Now that it's on there, at least a little bit, I'm just gonna go ahead and I like to use the backside over here. I'm just seeing, I'm gonna get this way closer. You can see it's not 100% true because it's cantering out, so it's gonna be, you don't want it touching because that can screw with something later on, but. So is that about bottom dead center right there? Don't spend too much time with this. This is me more just getting that pointer close and far enough away and all that kind of stuff. This is definitely something you can just play with, but for the sake of getting it fairly close on camera, I am trying to put a little more time and effort into it. All right. Super far away on that side. Might actually bring it up. There we go. I like having it nice and long because if it's like a little bit more bendy, so you can just do little manipulations. You don't have to screw with it quite as much. All right, that's enough horseplay. I'll probably do everything off camera too. My actual measurements that we'll use, just because they are going to be a little bit more accurate, just because I'm not talking and trying to get everything fairly good. All right. Again, your camera angle is going to show that's not 100%. On mine, it is pretty close. Being stubborn. There we go. Okay. And that's going to be pretty good across the board. Okay, actually better probably. All right, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to go ahead and tighten this down. I got a screwdriver for the back and this for the here. And if that moves around, that's fine. It's going to move, to tell you the truth. Which direction is it going to move? Oh, no, I need a 14. No. That's a 14 millimeter, just so you guys know. You guys are going to need a 14 millimeter for this project. You guys can figure out your bolt sizes, guys. Again, we're not trying to like change the world there, but we just want it nice and snug. Change the world? What am I talking about? All right, so that moved quite a bit, but that's going to be bottom dead center. I was kind of actually hoping it's going to be a little bit closer, but we'll just go ahead and look at that. Look at that. We can move it. So, again, doesn't matter. Sometimes more wire is better, sometimes it's not. I guess, I don't know. Now I'm just talking on my booty. Hopefully it's an okay angle for you guys. Maybe drop you down a little bit. The 360 is nice, but it doesn't always do your all justice. I'll probably edit this part out anyways. All right, that's a bottom dead center from my angle. Just a touch more. All right, perfect. Try to move it from the back as much as possible. So, top dead center. If I had to guess personally, I'd say more like right there. Oh wow, okay, so we're gonna be pretty close. we got everything fairly close. Try not to move the wheel as much. We did get it nice and tight, but just use this back guy right here, okay? And I'm getting like far back, and I'm looking on that as much as possible. A bigger wheel is going to give you more accurate information, which is something I do want to look into, especially now that we have this nice setup. It'll be good. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to get our piston stop. This can just be a piece of metal. As Dave would say, just grab your file, which is great actually. A file is going to give you very good leverage to really hold down. We might use it, but I got crap all over my file, so I got to be careful. So I just cleaned this off. This is made to bolt down if you want to go that route. I have found that personally, just holding it there works just fine, especially now that we have this setup, which is so much better. You can check out my old porting video if you guys also want to see. I was kind of rewatching it because I had to relearn or remember how to get on that bicycle, but it's actually pretty good. I think I gave a lot more information than I probably would in this video. This is just more of like to find out real quick, get these measurements, move on with our lives, and have fun. So I'm going to put that right in the middle. I wonder if I actually do something like that, kind of pin it down right in the middle. So what we are trying to do is we're just going to get a reading right here. We're going to move it up, doesn't matter what direction, to where it taps. I'm pushing nice and hard. I'm just going to hold that on there, and I'm getting a measurement of 29. So this is where it gets nitty gritty. So this is where in my notes I'm putting 29. All right, 29, right? That's as far as I can go. Double check. I'm getting 29. Now I'm rotating all the way down to the other side. You don't have to... I go slow because that thing will come around and actually... Not that I have to worry about piston damage right there, but it'll ting it a little bit. Not like you're going to damage it, but for the crank, let's just keep it all good. And if everything is right, we should be at 29, and I'm not. I'm at 20... I'm at 22. 22. So technically the number in between, would that be what? 20, is that 5, 9, 7, half a 7, it's gonna be 3.5. So if we go 3.5, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna move 3.5 in a positive direction since I'm already on this side. So I just took 29 minus 22, I guess 7 minus 9, obviously 7. I had to do some math in my head real quick. We got 7, half a 7, because we want to do half of our actual measurement, because if we did a full 7, we'd be off 7 degrees either direction. So we want to add half of 7, 3.5, right, degrees towards our other direction. I don't know why we have to move it towards that direction. I just know that's the way we got to do it. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to move it 3 degrees, which this is where it gets nitty gritty, and you got to be, it really matters. So you got these little tiny ticks. They do go in ones, I believe. And we got to go 1, 2, 3. So that'd be right at like 25-ish. So what you also want to do is make sure that you're also on your thing. This is a meticulous process, but this is the most important part, arguably. $25. Ooh, too much. That's 26. All right, so that's like 25.3. If I'm guessing, you know, if I'm guessing, so. What am I doing? All right, putting that back on there. We're going, double check, 25 point. Yeah, it's going to be real close. So now if we go the other direction, we should get the same number. Gosh, it's been so long since I've done this. And this is called timing out your dwell time. There's time in between the piston stroke where it is going. You want to get that all figured out. And we are, oh baby, we're money, guys. Oh, I'm probably at like 26. I'm about 25. I'm at 25 point. Oh man, I'd say 7 or 8. Super close. So I'm gonna go ahead and call that good. In all honesty, so we are technically timed out the dwell time. What the dwell time is there's this little bit of time in between when the piston is at the top and at the bottom. They call that top, bottom, top dead. So right, if I had to guess, eyeballing it for you guys, we're roughly at top dead center right here from our wheel and everything like that. Okay, there's this little bit of time in between, so you can kind of see that when I'm rocking that, I'm actually moving quite a bit in the back. You can see my hand, but the piston, I am going a little bit over, but there's that point where that piston's not moving at all. That's the dwell time. That's why we have to go that back and forth. We have to time that out. When you get those super hyper accurate measurements, you're getting rid of that little bit of degrees that does that right there. We're getting rid of that. We're fine tuning that movement and getting it to the exact same point we need. So I think I said that like 6 times. Cool. Well, there we go. Our timing wheel is set up. We can go ahead and grab our flashlight and we'll still go ahead and start getting some measurements. This ended up being pretty quick. The hard part really is now is just making sure this doesn't move. This doesn't slip. Use your hand in the back, all that kind of stuff. I highly recommend getting a stand. If you don't have the means to make your own stand, there are really great stands off of eBay for motorized bicycle choppers that you're meant to like bolt on or weld on. I'm actually probably gonna get one of those. Honestly, they are like $40, but I think you're getting like a pretty good product in that you can fit it. They're made for fitting a motor on a Swin chopper, from my understanding, and so a lot of guys use those, and I think that'd be great. The only thing I would do different on here personally is like I need to add some kind of weight in the back, so maybe I need to like add some kind of, oops, I just bumped that, so now I gotta check everything. See, but I need to add some weight in the back. Besides that, this is so slick, especially cleaning out and all that stuff. But anyways, I digress. What was our number we were shooting for? I'm gonna write that note down. 25 point. What was it? 25 point something? 25.5? Something like that. All right, cool. Thanks, guys. Stay tuned. Let's get some numbers next.